Hello, my name is Dr. Tayyab Rashid. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a researcher at University of Toronto, Scarborough in Canada. It is my pleasure to share some thoughts on kindness at World Kindness Week. And I've themed them that being kind to others is being kind to us. Let me ask you, we have often heard this expression that we are built to connect. I think we are also built to be kind with each other. How many of you hasn't seen someone being generous and sharing? Someone who is nurturing and caring, someone who is nice and courteous, someone who is listening and tuning in to yourself, someone who is compassionate, also compassionate to themselves. All of these are facets, manifestations of kindness, because it is as I said, it is a default mechanism, and it is our ability to take the perspective of others. It's not only one simple thing that kindness brings along. Kindness also entails compassion, empathy, and gratitude. And why kindness is important? Kindness is important because we live in a world which, despite being so connected, is increasingly lonely. Loneliness has reached epidemic proportions in many urban centers of the world. Now, the studies are showing, this is a meta-analysis by a health stand of 148 studies, which showed that when you have strong social relationships, it increases the likelihood for your survival by 50%. In other words, think about if you're smoking and you give up smoking, how many years of life you will add. If you're eating trans fat food, if you give up and start eating healthy, how many years that you would add. But if you would have strong positive relationships, this is the same amount of years that you will add to your life by giving up smoking, giving up junk food. That doesn't mean that you can have a positive relationship and still eat junk food and smoke. The point here is that it's so important for us to foster positive relationships, and the glue that fosters those relationships is kindness. And kindness is nothing new. Confucius defines it's an act where you don't expect anything in return, any gratitude. It's a goodwill to make life better for others through verbal and non-verbal means. It's the hospitable heart, humble, genuine, and being polite. And in Islamic thought, Rumi said, your acts of kindness are iridescent wings of divine love, which linger and continue to uplift others long after you're sharing. Long after you do an act of kindness, it keeps on giving benefits to others. If you turn towards Africa, in African thought, there's a concept of Ubuntu, which basically means I am what I am because of who we are. Let me repeat. I am what I am because of who we all are. By caring for those around us, according to this concept of Ubuntu, we become the best versions of ourselves. And there's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far go together. If you spin towards Latin America, the concept of kindness is expressed through sympathia. Kindness in sympathia is about harmony in relationships. It's about politeness and respect for others, especially it de-emphasizes the negative behavior in conflicting situations. So the kindness in Latin America is not only just about harmony, but it is harmony, especially when we might be having some tough times. Let's swing to Italy. Cafe Sospeso means pending coffee. Basically, it embodies Italian affection and benevolence and warm hospitality. But the way it works is that you pay for 2 coffees, but you drink one, and the second coffee goes to someone who is in need. This movement started in Naples and has become quite a global phenomenon. In my own city, during COVID-19, we have recently saw the ushering of caremongering Toronto. This initiative by citizens was focused that no one is left behind, especially our vulnerable. And again, it had rippled to various parts of the world, especially when it went to India. It became caremongering India became a movement where people who are in distress, especially in abusive situations, could wave non-verbally for assistance when they need it. Now let's turn towards science of kindness. Question is, as I discuss this, kindness is by default, but it's by default. Can we increase it? Can we tweak it? We only become unkind when our brain is told some managerial capacity, some executive functions of executive commands to our brain are told, don't be kind. Otherwise, our default mechanism is kindness. Now, of course, various life circumstances can have tweaks in kindness. Question is, can we increase it? Now there is evidences coming through different programs. One that I liked has attracted solid empirical evidence is called compassionate mind training. What this program, the outcome of this program has shown that when participants go through this program, their parasympathetic responses, meaning relaxation responses, increases, their heart variability decreases, and in some participants who are especially at clinically risk for some adverse outcomes, they also became more calm, more relaxed by their heart rate decrease and their digestion increased. So, and it's very well done studies. So kindness can be increased. In my own clinical work, I've seen that kindness can be shown through empathy. Now, through my clinical work, I often discuss with my clients, and they are better teacher than I could teach them. Oftentimes we have developed, it's a co-creation of cultivation of kindness in human relationships. So some of the things that we have discovered are very helpful is if you want to express your empathy, ask yourself that am I saying or doing things in a way that would make my loved one really hear me out? Would I want my loved one to speak to me if I was in their shoes? Now, oftentimes my clients will tell me, well, Dr. Rashid, I don't know how I can express empathy. So some of the language that we have co-created is might be just like a conversation starters. So if you want to express your kindness through empathy, and you don't know what to say, try sometimes saying, I can imagine how hard it is for you, and then you can start the conversation. The loss of, and we have seen so many losses, and we're still seeing, this is a very tough COVID-19 time for us. That loss of your job or loved one or anything else which the person has suffered truly saddens me. That can be again, that can open that kindness window into your soul, and then you can find an expression for your emotions. These are just the opening lines. And it's okay to say that I'm struggling to find right words to describe how you must be feeling, because sometimes we don't have words how the other person is feeling. But the only thing I would, in my clinical experience about kindness and empathy is, I want to discuss kindness with its different shades. So the way sometimes I have some of my clients who are very kind, very humble, socially very intelligent, and they're also very forgiving, but their kindness is taken for granted, and they go into abusive relationships. So sometimes I teach this notion of that kindness, look at kindness and empathy with a bifocal lens, that you can connect with people, but if that connection is hurting you, you might want to do something. There are also some others who keep themselves closed, constricted, because they are sitting on these emotions, long frozen, frigid emotions of anger, resentment. Sometimes those resentment might be because of small little things. And especially nowadays when you're spending a lot of time together in close quarters with our loved ones, just make sure that you're expressing kindness and not holding on to the grudges. So one way to express kindness is also becoming forgiving. And some of the forgiveness scripts that I've discussed with my clients is that it doesn't harm to say that I don't blame you for being upset. If the person is upset, it's okay just to say that. And also remember, human relationships are bi-directional. And if you want to restore a relationship and inject kindness, start by acknowledging your part, however big or small that may be. And also, if you want to restore a relationship through forgiveness and kindness, sometimes it doesn't hurt to ask what specific steps you can take. If you realize later on that you were wrong, or how the person might have felt, even though you may still not agree with that, it's okay to even later on saying that you realize how it must have felt for them. Another facet of kindness is gratitude. And the way I work with my clients is to express gratitude through small day in, day out ways. So it's again, if your loved one have been doing something very nice to you, it's okay to say that it was so thoughtful, so caring of you, and then describe the kindness, the act, gesture for you, towards you. And I've heard from my clients that this COVID situation has helped them to realize that how much their loved one have done. So this literally comes from a client who said to their from the family members, I want to let you know that how much I appreciate your contribution. And another one realized that they couldn't have done lots of things in their life without the help of their loved one. So it's also showing that gratitude is okay. Finding words, again, words are just unlocking the emotions that you may have, and also we're all bombarded with emails, and sometimes you don't have time to respond to them. So this is probably comes from me, that I often write the responses in my head. I just need to transfer them onto keyboard. You need to also find kindness through actions. Because when you do actions, when you commit to do something kind, it brightens your day. So commit to do something even small, one act of kindness for others, without expecting a reward. Because you will reap the reward later on. Remember what Rumi was saying, that even if your act has been done, it will still be benefiting you and others later on. Also, being kind to yourself is very important. I meet many clients who are very harsh critic of themselves. The social comparisons on social media and many other almost impossible standards, self-imposed standards, because we live in a society which asks for perfection, which asks for more, which asks for us to do things perfectly, faster and more. So that put a lot of pressure on us to be critical of ourselves. So we achieve something, rather than celebrating and savoring it, we just change the goalpost, and then we don't savor it. I mean, when we don't savor it, we don't acknowledge to ourselves, and that often begins the self-critical habits. Kindness in action is also important to show through communications. Use kind words, gentle words. We have seen recently and still ongoing political polarization, where we use strong language and ridiculing others publicly. That's not kindness. We need to move towards. We need to appeal to our innate instincts as our default mechanism of kindness. We need to do spontaneous small acts of kindness. As I said, pay it forward. If someone did a kind act to you and you couldn't do it back, do it towards someone else. And also expand your kindness by through cultural connections. Sometimes your cultural communities might be looking for some help, and you may know that your own culture, it could be not just the traditional sense of culture, it could be the professional community, it could be a community of creativity, of people who co-create together. So any kind of grouping, affinity could be very helpful. Kindness also requires that you don't become kind by being not aware of it's sometimes what I call too much kindness can hurt you. So Aristotle talks about golden mean. The golden mean in kindness means that yes, do spontaneous and random acts of kindness which address the immediate needs of others. It requires effort, but also determine if the help is really needed. Sometimes you want to be kind, but there's a little bit of reflection is needed that is it actually needed and will be accepted? And whenever you offer kindness, offer it with respectfully. It is again and again, I would say, not make it contingent with any other outcome. And also keep in mind, you might be thinking you're doing an act of kindness, but it may have unintended outcomes. So think about it. If sometimes your act of kindness could bring some unintended harm. An example would be that you might be helping someone. Your intention is help, but perhaps you don't want the help in the way that you're offering, and you might take it taken aback, or you may take an offense towards it. Also, when you're being kind, it doesn't mean that you are lenient, and it doesn't develop into dependency. As I said, sometimes my clients are being too kind and they're used as a doormat. And kindness often would make much more sense that if we can reflect that which core value, deeper value is connected to. And kindness towards other, but without kindness toward yourself is not very helpful, because you cannot pour into others without taking care of yourself. In this world, in this very topsy-turvy world, uncertain world of COVID-19 that we are living, let the kindness of others inspire you. So let me end my talk at drawing towards our heroes, our frontline soldiers, our healthcare workers, our security officers, our security personnel, our people who are keeping our grocery stocks, our grocery stores, and they keep on running them, medical stores. Their act of kindness, let their act of kindness inspire us. Their commitment to duty inspire us. And also ask from yourself that what ignites your kindness. What happens when you are kind to others? How do you express your kindness? Through emotions, thoughts, actions? What's your favorite mode of expressing your kindness? And what makes what makes you act with kindness more easily? What is it that is any particular circumstances that help you to work out with your kindness? What stops you? What hinders you? And are there any specific character strengths which support your expression of kindness? I had the pleasure of working with a client, and without altering, have changed all their identifying information. And this is what they, at the end of, this is many years ago, when they finished the therapy, they wrote about themselves, how they would like to be remembered. And they said, I would like to be remembered as a person who expressed himself as an individual, pursuing the things that mattered most, with ambition and compassion, a teacher, a healer, a friend, an authentic and liberating person who above all was a humble student. An accomplishment that I would like to be remembered for being, having helped those who asked and those who needed it, a person who changed the outer world by cleansing inner worlds. My legacy would be leaving the world and the people I encountered slightly better off when I found them. Thank you so much.